Hey, welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Small Biz Mama. My name's Kristen Ingram, and I am a small biz mama running two businesses with a toddler and my husband at home and all the things. And so what I love to do on this show is just help you create the business and the life that you are looking for. You know, small businesses are everywhere. They're all around us. There are over 30 million small businesses in the United States alone. And so you are not alone. There are lots of us out there. And just so you know, a small business, it's funny because when I work with new bookkeepers, they say, well, I want to work with small and medium-sized businesses. Well, the definition of a small business is any business with less than $25 million in annual sales. So that's a lot of businesses. And so I think sometimes people hear the term small biz and they're thinking like really, really small businesses that are only doing, maybe, a couple tens of thousands of dollars in sales a year, but small businesses are businesses with up to $25 million in annual sales. And so, I know there's some people out there that like, I'm not a small business owner. I wear that badge with pride. I'm a small business owner. I am a home-based business, and I love serving my small businesses. So I hope you'll come along on this ride with me. Today, we're going to talk about just a whole bunch of great places to find new networking opportunities. We're going to talk about some online, some offline. I'm going to mention some organizations you may not have heard of before, maybe some websites that you haven't heard of before. But this is going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to talk about great places to find new networking opportunities. All right, so let's just dive right in. So a lot of people love Facebook, but I think they do Facebook wrong. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. Most people go into these giant Facebook groups that have, there's one that I'm in that has like 60,000 people in it. It's just a huge, huge Facebook group. And a lot of people go into it because it's so big. The problem is that you get lost, right? So there's going to be lots of competition for what you do. And it's really hard to get known and be seen. So I love smaller Facebook groups. So I love connecting with small business owners and then joining groups that are, if somebody invites you to a group that has like 200 to 500 people, but that group is active, then that's the kind of group that you want to be in. That's a great size for a small Facebook group. Really anything up to like 2,000 people, as long as it's active, is really, really good. And sometimes you get into those smaller Facebook groups if you pay, for somebody's course, for somebody's membership. And so that's kind of another way that you can kind of get into some of these really, really active groups. I'm in a couple that, I pay like $30 to $40 a month to be in those groups. I'm also learning a ton of stuff, which is great. One of those is Jennifer Allwood's Inner Circle, which we'll put the link to that in the show notes for this episode at smallbizmama.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be below the video. But I love those smaller Facebook groups. I've gotten a ton of work out of them. I've referred out a ton of work from them. And they're a great place to be. And I wouldn't just try a Facebook group. I wouldn't just try like business groups. Your local Facebook groups are great. I'm in one for, I'm in a ton of them actually with where I live, but there's some general groups that I'm in for where I live. So there's one for my town. There's one for like the Space Coast, because that's where I live, is on the Space Coast of Florida. And so you can find groups. And then what I would do is I would use those local groups to help you find other local groups. So once you get into a really solid local group, then I would ask like, hey, I just started a business or I have a business. Where can I find local networking opportunities? A lot of times there are informal networking groups that people don't really know about unless somebody tells you about them, that sometimes they're really hard to find, but they're great sources of referrals. There's also BNI, which I think stands for Business Networking International. And that is a group you have to pay to join, but there's only one of each type of business in that group. And they focus on referrals. Chambers of commerce are great if you're doing local networking. I love civic organizations for local networking. I think that they're fantastic. And so those are really good ways to find local, okay, if you want to network locally. Also, if you can find a Toastmasters group that focuses on local businesses. So Toastmasters is a speaking group. I also think it's great for confidence as well. So like if you're struggling with your confidence, or you think that maybe you're awkward on calls with people, like doing Zoom calls, I actually record this on Zoom. If you're not really comfortable with that yet, or you're not really comfortable talking to people, Toastmasters is a great way to help you get over that fear and meet some really great people too. So that's awesome. And really, I want you to think outside the box, because there are business owners everywhere. Like I said, there's 30 million small businesses in this country. And I think that number is kind of low, because I've also read that there are 59,000 freelancers out there too. And a lot of times freelancers don't consider themselves small business owners. And so I think I think the number's probably around 60 million. It's a really, really large number. And so I often have people come to me and they're like, is there like a cap on how many bookkeepers that you're going to let in a bookkeeper training school? And the way we need to meet the demand right now, we probably need at least 10,000 new bookkeepers. And so if we hit 10,000 bookkeepers, then of course, I'll consider cutting it off maybe at that point, but we're not anywhere near that. So, but there's a huge demand for bookkeepers right now. And the average age of a small business accountant is about 65. Okay. So they said 25% of accounting professionals are going to retire in the next 5 years. And so we have a lot of headway to make sure that all the small businesses out there are getting served. And also anytime that there's either economic downturn or some sort of strife like a pandemic, lots of new businesses form because people are tired of, living by the rules, right, that everybody else sets. And so I think we're going to see tons of small businesses come out of the pandemic. I know lots of people are doing side hustles, and they're doing those as small businesses. So I think that the traditional thought of, this is how you seek out new business, this is how you find new clients. I think we need to think about things a little bit differently, because when I talk to people, almost everybody I talk to has a side hustle, a small business, a freelance thing. And so I think a lot of people are turning away from having like the second job and are creating something on their own. And these are all folks that, that are looking to connect with other businesses, looking to connect with other business owners. And so, I've gone to mom groups and struck up conversations with moms that have businesses. And that's not like, I wasn't there to talk about business, but, it's kind of natural. Like, oh, why did you move? Oh, we just moved here. You just moved here. Why did you move here? Oh, you have a business. Oh, cool. We have a business. And so those conversations just kind of start. So I would not just be looking for business groups. I'd also be looking for groups that you're interested in, right? Because networking is so much fun when you're interested in participating. So volunteerism, civic groups, moms groups. Here there's an Italian club. I think I mentioned them before on the podcast. So there's just all of these different groups. Okay. But BNI, Chambers of Commerce, meetup.com. It's a great place to find groups. Alignable is a great place to hook up with other businesses. So Alignable is a networking platform for small businesses. That is a great place, and they actually have groups now that you can join. So there's a lot going on kind of behind the scenes with these groups. LinkedIn has groups. I would connect with if you went to college, look up your alumni network on LinkedIn. They may also have one on Facebook as well. If look to see if your high school has a group on LinkedIn or Facebook. Let's see. But check out those Alignable groups, because people in Empower Bookkeeper Network are saying that Alignable has been really cool. Nextdoor is a site that is a site for like really hyper local, and so that might be a good place, to let people know that you have a business, to ask about those, networking groups. And then the other thing too is like I would reach out. So I love connectors, okay? And I've talked about connectors previously on the show. Connectors are people who are really good at networking and really good at connecting other people together. And so I love finding those connectors and asking them, right? So connectors are typically lawyers, insurance agents of all different kinds, financial advisors. Sometimes if your local bank has like a marketing person, so what you might want to do is you might want to like check out your Chamber of Commerce, see who's on the board of that Chamber of Commerce, because a lot of them are typically connectors. And also look at just chamber members, right? And maybe pick out some of those folks that know a lot of people, right? And reach out to them and say, hey, look, I'm considering joining the chamber. I'm looking at other options. What are your favorite ways to network? And just reach out. You can reach out on LinkedIn. If you find them on Alignable, you can connect with them on Alignable. A lot of times they have their email address on, available on their chamber website or maybe their Facebook page. Reach out to people. The biggest mistake that most small businesses make when they're first starting to network is that they think that if they just put themselves in these groups, that they're going to get business. You have to connect with individuals. People want to do business with people they like and trust. And so you have to actually talk to people. People will come to me who are in bookkeeper training school and be like, okay, so I joined all these groups and I have no clients. I was like, okay, well, what are you doing in the groups? Are you talking to people? Are you commenting? Are you private messaging people? Are you creating conversations? Because, what I always tell people is that the business on Facebook is not happening in the groups. It's happening behind the scenes in private messages. And so Messenger is where all the business is happening. It's not really happening, publicly in the groups. And so you need to start talking to people. You need to start connecting with people. It's really funny because I'll have people that will message me because they're looking for a bookkeeper, and then I will, have them fill out my form, or I will have them, I'll put their request into our group, and sub that out. But that's because of all the networking that I do and all the connections that I've made. When people are looking for a bookkeeper, I'm the person they go to. And so that takes a little bit of time to do, right? But it's because I've made all those connections. I've talked to all those people. I've given back. And so, the more that you engage with other people, the more relationships you build, the more likely it is you're going to get work. The faster you're going to get work, the faster you're going to grow your firm. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I'd love to know how you are, how you're finding new networking opportunities, what is working for you. And remember, the reason I just want to say this before we wrap up, the reason I love networking, okay, because people are like, I don't want to cold call, I don't want to go door to door, and I don't think you should either, okay? Because here's the thing, I want you to maximize your networking opportunities, okay, for the amount of time that you're spending. And so if you are cold calling, that is one phone call you're making. Right? That's one person you're trying to connect to. You're trying to connect to the right person. You're going to get voicemails. You're going to get on hold. You're going to be, it's slow. Okay. It is slow networking. What I like to do is I like to get into groups of people. Right. And so I know some of you are like, Kristen, I'm an introvert. Like, I don't want to. So here's the thing. So if you go to like a chamber networking event or a BNI group, okay, yes, there might be a lot of people in the room, right? Or if you're going into a Facebook group, there might be, a couple hundred people in the group. But in each individual post or in each individual subgroup, it's only a couple people standing around, right? So even if you're an introvert, you're not walking up to 200 people going, hi, my name's Kristen, and this is the thing, and you're not doing that. What you're doing is you're going up to like a small group of people, right? Maybe 3 or 4 people who are standing talking, and introducing yourself to 3 or 4 people. And so I'm not looking at the giant room of people. I'm looking at each of these little subgroups. And I'm saying, okay, so which subgroup do I want to join first, right? Who do I want to walk up to first? And I think there's safety in those little groups, because if you're an introvert, you can just kind of hang out there and talk, listen to everybody and see what people are doing, and kind of take notes. And you can say like, oh, this person was really interesting. I'm going to see if I can catch them one-on-one later, or I'm going to find them on the chamber member list and I'll follow up with them via email. Okay. And so I think there's safety in that versus, I think initially, like just walking up to somebody one-on-one and saying, hi, my name's Kristen. I think that's much scarier than walking up to like 3 or 4 people who are all kind of chatting and kind of just observing their conversation. Right. And then saying like, okay, now that I know these people a little bit, maybe I'll follow up with one of them. So I like knowing that if I go into a room of people, like a chamber event or a BNI event or a Rotary event or whatever event I'm going into, if I'm going into a room full of people, the likelihood that I'm going to come out with leads is much higher than if I start picking up the phone and cold calling people, or if I start going door to door in my town. Because the other thing too is that the vast majority of small businesses are home-based. And so there's nowhere for you to go knock, right? A lot of them don't have business phone numbers. They don't, right? They might have a Google Voice line. It might be in their business name. It's probably not. And so how are you going to find them? So that's the thing, is that looking in groups, right, and doing networking and trying to find where people are hanging out and where people are networking is much more effective than trying to get lists and cold calling or trying to go door to door or trying to do any of those things. So I'm just trying to maximize the number of businesses that you can touch, that you can connect with in a short period of time. And so I have found that networking, this method, is the most effective without a doubt. So I hope that this is helpful for you. Let us know if you have any questions. You can always go to askkristen.net, and fill out the form, and we will answer your questions either on a future podcast or on a live, or you can connect with us in our group, the Small Biz Mama community. If you go to smallbizmama.com, we'll link you up with our Facebook community. love to have you there. All right, mamas, take care. You have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.